Right, production team. I'm not sure if everyone else agrees with you out there as Marineking just pulled all of his SCVs. Does he deserve that music, Wolf? Does he deserve that music?
I think so, man. I mean, that was a crazy game. Nobody expected, I don't think, Marine King to pull that off. It was so down to the wire. I was watching that
Yeah.
fight, and suddenly I realized, like, I feel like I grasped like the concept that Marine King was thinking. He's like, I think I just barely have enough here, and I was like, oh my God, he barely has enough here. And if maybe Oz had pulled his probes a little bit earlier, if his force fields had been a little bit better,
Yeah.
he probably could have held. But damn.
Yeah. It was a fun first game, and now we're going to be jumping into our second game here on Entombed Valley for our title match here. $750 on the line. Wolf, why don't you introduce our players?
Okay, I can do that down here on our Entombed Valley map. At the top left, we have our Protoss player from the team FX Open. It is FXO Oz. And of course, at the top right, our Blue Terran, the King of Marines, looking unstoppable last game, looking like he had no chance of winning the game, but did it just to prove us all wrong. It is Marine King Prime.
Now, I mean, if you can't win the last game against Marine King, and I'm not saying that I'm not dissing Oz or anything, but if he knows that he's still going to win the game when he pulls all his SCVs, you're an expansion ahead. Economically, you are miles ahead of your opponent. You were starting your tech. You're up on 5 gates against 1 base. What in the world do you do against that, man?
I don't know, man. It's like playing against the god of StarCraft. He basically created how some of the game is played nowadays. I mean, he changed the way TVZ is played. He's changing the way this matchup is played. He knows exactly how to win in any circumstance. And if I'm Oz right now, I'm actually panicking. I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm trying to figure out exactly what my next move should be.
Well, we'll see what it is here. He might go for. I mean, last game he had the mind game advantage too. Now that I think about it, as he canceled his neck or didn't even. He basically looked like he was going to be throwing down on Nexus and then went for that 4 gate. So I don't know, man. That play from Marine King was pretty awesome stuff. Pulling his SCVs when he did. I think, like you said, that Oz waited way too long to pull those probes. You know, it was about halfway through that fight, or almost at the end of it when the probes finally showed up. Had he have pulled everything, he had to have thought that, well, those are every single one of his SCVs, minus 1 or 2 mules back at home, that he probably would have won that fight.
Yeah. I think that's entirely possible. Now, one thing that's really cool to note here is because Oz scouted really early, he's forced Marine King to make his command center first on the high ground. If you go command center first, you never want to make it on the high ground, but in this case, he's forced Marine King to do just that, and he's going to continue to harass with this probe. And that's very frustrating for Marine King to deal with. He's going to have his command center a little bit delayed. Not only delayed, but he's going to have to move it down to the low ground later. His opponent's in his main base scouting. His timings of his barracks even continuing to harass this SCV, making him lose more mining time. And as a result, Oz just does not make a Cybernetics core and will likely make... Well, actually, he's going to make his core now. I thought he was going to skip it and go for the fast Nexus.
Yeah, he threw down a pylon here at the ramp of MKP.
Oh, this is so cool. He's gonna. Oh, I think what he wants to do here is cancel it so that the Zealot can get inside, but I think the Zealot is gonna be just a few seconds too late. Is he gonna cancel it? No, he does not cancel it, so he's still not gonna be able to get inside. That's kind of a weird choice.
Yeah, I guess you don't really see this every day. As the Zealot is gonna try to get in. We see the racks actually finishing now, so... Alright, I guess that's one way to open a TVP up. I wonder if he forgot that pylon or forgot to cancel it or something.
Yeah, I think he was too focused on something else, maybe microing his probe and didn't cancel it on time. The idea is there so that the Terran cannot make the 3rd depot there, make the 3rd building to wall off, and then you cancel it when the Zealot comes, you get in. But unfortunately, he didn't quite time it out right, then he didn't cancel, so... Didn't work out. A smart move, though, because he could have definitely killed a lot of Marines and even some SCVs if he got that Zealot inside.
Yeah, absolutely. There goes the pylon, and the Zealot is still outside. It will not block that orbital command as it lands. But right now, we see a Stalker coming, and a Stalker can do pretty decent damage against those Marines, so he's going to keep those up on top until a couple more come in.
Yeah, he's He's actually going to be able to start picking away at that command center too. It looks like he's going to run up the ramp here, which I'm not sure if I agree with, but he can use the Zealot to tank some shots, damage these Marines, then retreat, get the shields back, and then continue the pressure later while the Marines are already injured. The problem now, though, is that a bunker should be going up. There it is. Marineking delaying the bunker just a second, but now he's going to get that bunker up. There is, however, a second Stalker here. Will Oz continue the pressure? It looks like he's going to.
And he might be waiting for some of those shields to recharge on his other Stalkers. They do recharge ever so quickly, but he needs to hurry up as that bunker is about 60% complete. And I think he's actually, well, he's waiting for this other Stalker, but it looks like it's going to be too little too late as he needed to go about 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit too late. He could try to run around, but he's going to take so much damage as a result. Meanwhile, though, he does have his Nexus up. He's getting his other gateway. He's actually going to go for a quick Twilight Council, as his old ID kind of indicates. He used to love going for the super fast Twilight Council play. That's where he got the ID Twilight from when he was using that before he changed his ID to Oz. And we're going to see him perhaps dart up past this bunker, decides to pull back.
So now I'm wondering like what the next move is. We see that Twilight Council like you had just referenced going down. Is he on? No, he's still on only 3 assimilators, just now getting the 3rd. So I don't think DTs are an option. Does he just get charged very early on and go for a charge-based attack?
I think he's going to get Blink and go for Blink Stalker play. Yeah, see, he's getting Blink, and with that Robo, he's going to start an Observer. And I think he's going to try to blink into his opponent's main, maybe, and do some harassment like that. He may even blink up, avoiding the bunker, and go attack from the south part of the orbital. That's something that we've seen players do sometimes on this map. It's very unusual. It's a little bit weird of a build to see, but when your opponent goes so Marine heavy, like Marineking does, he goes straight for those medevacs. If you go very Marine heavy, you don't have a lot of Marauders out. With good Blink Stalker micro, you can trade extremely well, and sometimes even end the game.
So right now he's gonna have to. He needs to probably add on some more gates. He only is at 3 at the moment. That's not going to be that much, especially off a 2 base when it comes to Stalker production. But at the moment, you have that Observer about halfway complete. Blink as well, about halfway complete. But right now, Marineking is sitting on 2 base. He's got his 2 bunkers ready. He's waiting for an attack. Stim just now finishing Combat Shield on the way, +1 as well. But here come those 2 medevacs, and that is the timing that, you know, time and time again, we've seen MKP use in every single TVP. He's just so effective with it.
Yeah, I mean, he has memorized this timing. He gets the +1, the combat shields, 2 Marauders, 2 medevacs, the floating factory, and the 3rd command center. Always, like, that's his checklist. Once he gets all those things, man, he moves out, and most Protosses just die. The Blink is almost done. We do see a robotic support bay on the way as well for Oz. It's kind of an interesting choice. Now, he only has a small group of Stalkers, as you mentioned earlier, just did not have the gateway production to do a big attack with this. He's actually going to Blink, though, into the main base, and Marineking is way out of position for this. He's going to lose a few SCVs here, and perhaps even his Tech Lab, which is researching right now, not Stim. He's attacking the wrong one.
And it's going to be able to get finished there. Now he's going to blink down on low ground, but that's not going to be good because Stim is finished and his Blink Stalkers are all going to die. 75 to 87 supply here. And right now, Oz is going to be basically begging that Marineking does not attack until this Colossus gets out. But Marineking's moving on forward, and Oz sees that with the Observer. This is not good whatsoever.
Not good at all, man. I mean, that Stim was finished, like you said, and so those Stalkers were finished. This is looking pretty tough, considering especially not only the medevacs are out, but he has +1 on all of these Marines. There are no upgrades just yet for the Protoss units. He started them, but they're not going to be done anywhere near in time for this attack. This is going to be so tough for Marineking to defend. If he attacks on the low ground where the Zealots cannot really close the distance, he's going to struggle. Here he comes, stimming up here.
And he's trying to focus down that Sentry. He does get it, but here comes that Colossus popping out. That's going to be very worrisome for Marineking. He's going to have to fall back. I do not see him actually fighting that fight. So Oz basically getting very lucky with that Colossus popping out. And Marineking knows it. So right now he's going in for a big load here with 4 medevacs dropping in. He could possibly get that robotics bay with the extended thermal lance, but it has been seen by the Observer.
Does he have enough Stalkers to
still
deny?
Got 2 Stalkers, and here comes the drop.
Going for a huge drop. The Colossus does need to be micro back. He's going to target down the robotic support bay.
Oh, no.
This is huge. He will get it. and escape with the majority of his units here. Things looking really bad for Oz now, as he will clean up some of these units with the Blink Stalkers, but he has just lost that. He's lost so much. He lost some of his units as well as the robotic support bay. Definitely a good trade for Marineking.
Yeah, and I mean, with that attack, or even with that kind of feigned pressure down below, he's got his third base up and running. He's got entire scouting of his opponent's base. Saw the fact that there is a double forge right now. Supply is pretty even. We see a Templar Archives going down, so it is possible that if you can get those storms out or those feedbacks out, that it will kind of counter MKP style. But once this third base gets up and running here pretty soon, I don't know how Oz is going to be able to really deal with it.
Yeah, the upgrades are going to be key here. He is getting that 2-2. He's getting that charge. The Temple Archives are on the way. If he can get Storm out with 2-2 without dying, he'll be basically on even footing. Even if he doesn't have a third base, he'll have the power to be aggressive, take a third base, which he is doing now, and hold it. But if Marineking attacks soon and micros correctly, as he's known to do, then I'm not sure if Oz can hold that. In fact, I think very likely he will die.
Yeah, Marineking sniping one of the observers there of Oz. The other one, which was in place and saw that drop, is now moving into the center. Stalkers are going to be the scouting, of course, scouting unit here, taking out the center, but there's Marineking's force, and it is basically the money mix here at the middle of the match. Some Archons are out. He does have 2 Colossus, and he does have charge, so this is a pretty even fight, I gotta say, tech-wise against tech-wise.
Yeah, this is a formidable army for both players, but again, the 2-2 is not quite done for Oz. The Vikings are going to be in position to target down those Colossi, and Marineking gets a flank. This is not looking good for Oz as he's being kited on one side. His money unit, the Colossus, gets taken out on the other, and Marineking taking a huge supply lead here. Looks like he can just kite his way to winning this fight.
Yeah, Marineking inventing his own form of ring around the little center of the pit, or the pit in the center of the map here. And here's what we always talk about, guys. The stutter step of Marineking is really unmatched. And that little flank, 8 Marines on the top portion of the center of the map right there behind those Colossus was so smart from Marineking. And it completely obliterated those 2 Colossus. The Archons were never able to engage because they did not have the force fields. And the Zealots, well, everyone knows the story of the Zealots.
Yep, that is basically the story of Zealots versus Bio. Now the Vikings have been landed for Marineking. He's cleaned up the army. He has a Ghost Academy. Even though he doesn't have 2-2, I think he's just going to wait for it. He's going to go for a second wave. If you look at the army supply, it's 89 to 47, so he has twice that of his opponent, and there is a nuke in production. Looks like he wants to end things with a bang.
Well, I guess that's Marineking for you. It was pretty funny the other day, actually, in the, I believe it was the GSL group picks last night. He actually referenced that, you know, he's not winning, the other people are just losing against him. So maybe that's what we're seeing here, as he's going across the map with just a huge force, even having the Vikings on the ground.
Yeah, this is looking so scary for Marineking. He's actually just unopposed, going to walk right in here and attack a Nexus. Then he'll have the better concave on top of a ramp, so it's going to be impossible for Oz to engage. This is basically a win-win situation for Marineking and lose-lose for Oz.
Pretty demoralizing to see Vikings on the ground fighting your army. And look at the forces of Oz just getting completely destroyed there. All that remains are 4 Archons, but you have so many units there. And then Manor Mule lands. Good game. Marineking taking game 2 here. And I'm starting to wonder if Oz has any answer for Marineking, or if anyone actually does.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, man. I don't know if anybody has an answer for him at this point. I mean, he just looks so strong in every way, and every game, and every scenario. He's really memorized this +1 2 medevac timing attack. He does it. I bet he could do it with his eyes closed. He's done it so many times, and he does it so well. It's actually crazy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, remember, this is a best of 7. Coming up next is MLG Shakuras Plateau. We'll be there right after this break. Hope you guys join us.